What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of Draft Talk for this season. I am Tyler Brook, joined alongside Justis Mauigoa. Apologies for having a week off, but it is offensive lineman week, and that means we needed a lot of time to prepare, especially with the combine last week. Justis, how are you feeling about it being Hoggies week? I think that's what I'm going to call it, just because Fernando Mendoza.
I feel good. The combine sucks now. The television product. The television product of the combine sucks now. The participation rate is so low. No one runs anything. The combine's not going anywhere. Tyler knows.
Dude, what are you talking about? It's the fastest combine ever.
Yeah. And I know people have said it's like selection bias and stuff like that too. I've talked to a lot of people about this subject because I wrote an article at Acme Packing Company about the participation rate and stuff. And surprise, surprise, a lot of agents will just hit me up and be like, "Hey, can I get that data?" Right? Like they just want it. They're grubby. They're grubby people, yeah. Tyler. It's their job to be grubby. So I'm not gonna hit up scouts during combine week for the most part. But agents will talk.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of different theories about that. Like selection bias is part of it, right? Agents realizing like, hey, so like if a guy was at the Senior Bowl, right, that was mid-January probably. So we're talking 5-6 weeks of training before the combine. You might get another 4 weeks of training before pro day. So if your numbers aren't great, we'd like you to get that extra training before you end up putting the number on. Because I know Tyler knows this, but like for the most part, teams, like if you run at the combine, they're going to use your combine number, right? Unless something weird happens, you slip and fall, something like that. I've talked to college track coaches, D1 track coaches who have hit me up, and all they're talking about is the cleats. And I should know more as someone who lives in literally Portland, Oregon. Like I went to Portland State where, the campus for Under Armour is like a stone's throw away. Nike obviously is in Beaverton. So is Adidas. I should probably know more about these cleats, but they think that these cleats the players are using are basically built for the 40-yard dash. So there's a reason that they're avoiding the agility drills and stuff like that because you might slip.
You can't just switch cleats. Like that's just
you could. I don't know if that's against the rules. If there's that's something.
It doesn't feel like there's rules to this. To be honest.
Yeah. So like one thing that people don't realize. So like the agility drills, they're dead, right? Like
we had one guy in one of the position groups. It was one.
I think running back. Yeah. At DB, I think it was 9% of corners are doing the three cone, or DBs are doing the 3 cone. I can't remember if it was corners or DBs. And these numbers are dropping off year over year. Some of it is scheduling, right? So they used to do the agilities before the 40, and then we moved to prime time, and then they push them after the 40. And now guys are just like, no, because the way the schedule works, right? First of all, the days are blocked off. Like anytime you are not on the field, you're basically busy 24/7. So it's not like we can have all the quarterbacks and like we can't shorten the combine by days, right?
I've seen like they are like when they're out and about downtown, it's like going to meetings. Like they're always like beelining somewhere. It is a very busy week.
we were at the combine together the Lucas Van Ness year, right?
Where he got locked out of his hotel.
He's just locked out of his hotel. You buzzed him in. And
no, that was Owen that buzzed him in. But it's snowing and like 10 degrees and he's in a cutoff.
Yeah. And he's sprinting. He's sprinting. He's got somewhere to go.
Yeah. I'll never forget he turned to us when it locked. His direct quote was, "Oh, that's unfortunate." That was just all he said. A great quote.
So LV had Central Catholic football player, right? The attitude, the look, the whole thing. But they push the agilities later. So like now the players schedule once they're on field, right? It's like the 40 jumps. Then you're doing like the wave drill and the gauntlet and all that stuff. And then you have to switch back into testing mode just for the agilities. And that's another problem, especially at being later in the day. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad that so many people opt out, and then it almost makes me appreciate the guys that do it more. Like I think Jacob Rodriguez is the best example of that this year. Apparently the field was just super slick and a lot of drills and everything like that.
But the left hash on the wave drill? The left hash on the wave drill was just murdering people. I don't know what was going on with that.
But like Jacob, like it got a huge green flag from Rodriguez because it was reported like he kept slipping and did this drill like 10 times. And so like by then at the end of the day, after trying to run the agility drill that many times, you got to be completely gassed. And then he posts a great time because he finally finished it. Like sometimes stuff like that is a green flag, but I feel like agility drills are the most important testing we could possibly get, and just no one does it.
Yeah, it stinks.
It's so frustrating.
2 more things on this, and then we can get an offensive line because we definitely need the time.
Yeah, we do.
The short shuttle is the one that people slip on because that's the one, you're just basically going back and forth.
It's like suicides.
The 3-cone is kind of, loopy,
an L,
right?
Yeah.
You can, if you slip on the shuttle, you just keep getting chances to do it. So there's no incentive to not just stick your foot in the ground as hard as possible. If it doesn't stick and you slip, just do it again. So like that's kind of how it works with that. There's legit guys who will run that drill 8 different times.
Yeah.
Right? Like that happens all the time. The other thing, I talked to a guy at the NFL level, right? Like works for the league, like not a team, right? Like the league, the people. National is running the combine. It's a scouting service. It's them and Blesto are the 2 big ones that are like third-party services, really. But National runs the combine. The NFL doesn't actually run the combine. But a guy at the NFL who, like, they work the data, they give it to the broadcasting company, all that stuff, right? They think force plates are going to become a factor, and they're just going to replace all these drills with force plates at some point. And I don't know if like participation rate is going to be higher on that, but they think that they can replace all these drills with force plates.
What do you mean by force plates?
So like Atlanta's been doing this for a long time. It's basically like it measures pressure by your feet, right? And you can jump, you can cut, you can move around on it.
Oh, so it measures like your vertical based off how hard you leap and how far.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we had one of those at Carmel. I remember this. I was like, I didn't trust it,
but it's also change of direction. Yeah, it's also change of direction stuff. I've seen the ones where you jump. These are it's like the size of a room basically.
Yeah.
And then you just set down cones and you have the guy move around on it, and it's basically like GPS tracking stuff, but just for players. I've also seen people bring up like the GPS tracking stuff. I have had access to some of these databases, these contraband databases that I'm not supposed to have. I don't know how people are using them because like a lot of the GPS data, it's like top speed, which I think you need context for. Like everyone's not running straight line, full speed, 40 yards, and they're getting those opportunities in an actual game. And then the other thing too is like average speed, which I think might be useless. Like I don't like there's so much context that you need for like average speed.
For sure.
And then change of direction stuff. I know there's like deceleration numbers. The NFL is big time deceleration number pilled right now. Yeah. That's what they care about more than acceleration. Because I think they figured out we've trained acceleration so good to the point that people's bodies are breaking, right?
Yes.
But we're not focusing enough on deceleration. So and that would be, like stop and start ability, your ability to cut, all those things. Which is why, Tyler, the damn cone and the damn shuttle matters. But all right, let's get into offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You've done way too much on this.
No, thank you for all that. This is why we need you back next year, man. The combine.
I'll go next year. This year was way too. My schedule got way too weird, and then everything felt like it was a week early. And then by the time I was looking at prices,
it's rough.
That I was gonna have to pay out of pocket because SB Nation doesn't pay for anything. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good situation. If I would have gone a week earlier, I would have been able to go down. I'll go down next year for sure.
Listen, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Combine with Justis is a very good time. All right, offensive lineman. I got to 23 guys. We talked about it a little before recording. We're just going to start with tackles, move to interior. We could talk about all of these guys at length, but we have a finite amount of time. So we're just going to skim through them. So I'm just going to give my rankings because I'm not doing like a top X offensive lineman video this week or anything like that. By the way, quick housekeeping note. If you're watching this, you can subscribe to Draft Talk and all of the Packers related podcasts on Frozen Tundra frequencies, wherever you listen. And then on YouTube, or if you're listening on YouTube, you can find us at Best Available. Subscribe to both, even if you only use one. It just helps the numbers, performance, all of that. If you appreciate all this talk, thank you to all the comments. Even on random videos where Justis isn't on this channel, I keep going like, where's Justis? I really appreciate that. It's Draft Talk. It's everyone's favorite time of year. I'm glad Draft Talk's become so popular among like especially Packers fans. So really appreciate that. Yeah, fun tackle class. What did you think about it as a whole?
So when I started going through it, right, because I got an early start. I really
Yeah.
did start looking at the draft as soon as Micah Parsons tore his ACL. Like I
Probably
have
a good
no
call.
illusions about that. Some of these guys, like Blake Miller, was like 150, right, on the consensus board.
And you're like, what the hell? Yeah.
And I immediately was like, this is not right as soon as I watched the film. And clearly there has been an adjustment. So it's good
Well,
to know that.
I'm glad we do these episodes because people don't watch offensive linemen. They just kind of like listen to
No.
what other people are saying,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of bored. And I think one of the things that we do really well, I think it's one of our strengths. We love offensive linemen at this channel. So
I played center throughout my life, center and guard. And I'll actually watch the guys. Like I'm telling, like
I love watching the guys. It's fun.
I spent weeks, and we're only really through like the top 100.
Yeah,
right?
it's crazy.
Takes a lot of time. So my initial thought on the tackle class is, man, this class is really good because there's a lot of guys like Blake Miller that I think people aren't catching
Tons
up
of
on.
experience, like played forever and was like rock solid. Yeah.
But now that people have kind of caught up and you're seeing Miller, not sure, go in like the first round and stuff like that, we're now back in to tackle desperation mode where it's like, man, if you don't get one in the first or like real early second,
there's
a pretty big drop off after like the first 7 guys, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that.
That is hit the nail on the head. I've watched 12 tackles, and like I feel like after OT 7, I feel that drop off.
There's a strong line like right there.
Yeah.
Whoever your 7th guy is, after that, it becomes like, ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna talk about some of these guys, but like,
yeah.
Okay, are you gonna wait for Tiernan? Is Dunker a tackle? Is Parker a tackle?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna roll the dice on Crown Over? Have you seen Crown Over?
No, I've not.
Oh my god. Well, then we'll talk.
Okay, yeah. So I'll go through my rankings, and then you give me your thoughts on these guys, and then we'll pick up any names I didn't mention. So some of these guys we're going to talk about interior as well. I graded them differently. I do have Mauigoa as tackle 1 for me. The way I kind of view him is, I mean this as a compliment, but it's like the right tackle version of Will Campbell last year. A more physical guy with limited length. My favorite traits about him are just for a 6'6" tackle, or what did he end up measuring it at? 6'5.5". Really, really good pad level and leg drive. I love on his tape, it's literally short yardage situations. They condense that formation, tighten those splits, and then he's just road grading people downfield. One of my favorite players as far as watching that. I've watched so many big athletic tackles, and too many are just soft in those situations. This dude wants to like be a absolute bulldozer. So really enjoy that. The length's an issue. I'm a little worried sometimes. He can miss on twists and stunts when he's like trying to keep, contain and process that information. He get lunging, which when I hear I get caught lunging, typically that tells me limited length, trying to overextend, things like that. But the way he's wired, even if it doesn't work out at right tackle, I think he's a freaking awesome guard. And that's just why I have him as tackle 1.
Yeah, I think my hot take that is just not going to matter at all is Mauigoa is a better guard prospect than a tackle prospect.
Oh, it's totally true.
Someone's going to draft him, and he's going to be a tackle, right? Like if Cleveland drafts him, he's top 5. He's going to end up being a tackle, so it doesn't matter. Miami wants to smash. Like you can look at everyone but the center, and I think those guys are averaging like carrying weight, like walk around weight is probably like 330 plus.
Yeah,
right.
They're trying.
Miami didn't run the ball that great this year. Like they gelled late, right? They ran the ball great in the playoffs. They didn't run the ball great throughout the season, and that was kind of how they got hot and were a team that damn near missed the playoffs and then got in the playoffs and made a run and took it to the wire against these Indiana Hoosiers, Tyler. I don't know if you
know. I know. We have breaking news real quick, by the way.
Dahlman?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Bear Center just retired. Pro Bowl center.
27.
Stanford kid.
That's crazy. All right, sorry. Keep going. But yeah,
no, that was it.
Cooking.
We can move to the next guy.
I loved the identity they found with Fletcher. Really fun back. I believe he went back to school. Is that right?
I think so. I don't think he's in this class.
I like him as a power back. I wish he had declared. Anyway, all right. Number 2 is Spencer Fano. That shouldn't be a shock either. There's going to be some questions about his length and stuff, but if you watched even the position drills at the combine, he's just moving different than these other guys. He's really agile. My favorite trait about him is he is so good with his hands that he will like feign a punch in his pass set, get the edge to commit, and then he will basically counter the edge, which I feel like I don't see often at the college level. That's some like master's class, like veteran NFL tackle shit that I was watching. And that kind of shook me. I mean, obviously there's some questions, he's definitely a little bit lighter and that length is going to be a concern. But I mean, I really like the technique and the fluidity. If I don't think a team, I'm a little worried with the way the NFL is leaning, going to more 12, 13 personnel power stuff really worries me. But on the right team where they want to be a little more spread out than where the league is heading towards, I think he could be damn good. But I am worried about him with the way the league's trending.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. He's got thinner legs, right? I think he can. He's athletic, but like he's weirdly athletic. Like he can whiff. He's a little stumbly, bumbly sometimes. There are times like he's a good pass blocker. And I think it really gets highlighted because when you look at him against stunts, he picks up these stunts super late. Like the processing is a little later. And he puts himself in positions where usually these tackles will end up losing that block. But because of his athleticism, he actually, doesn't allow a pressure. And you're like, whoa. So was that a good thing or a bad thing on that rep, right? Like you're showing some good traits, but there are also some underlying bad issues there. It's like he gets very close to getting beat sometimes. And you can fix that. But the athleticism is kind of the big calling card. You already mentioned like the thin legs, stuff like that. I think he's going to fit in with more of a, we want to be in the gun, we want to throw the ball type 100%. Of offense, use him as a pass protector instead of like be a people mover. I don't think I would take him as high, like consensus board right now. He is 6th. That is too rich for my blood.
Where's
4 uncles in the NFL.
Board? 1 second. I've got him 17th.
That's a much more tolerable number to me, Tyler.
I will tell you the one team, if they are going to pick top 10, I could totally see it is the Chiefs with the way they play.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. And Andy will figure it out. I mean, I'm still waiting for Kingsley to have his breakout in Kansas City.
Some going on there. All right, number 3, I have changed this a bit because I went back and watched him. It is Monroe Freeling. I could go on about this. I'm doing a film breakdown on him tomorrow. But just cliff notes on him. Back up his first 2 years, had to come in last year's second year for Ernest Green, who got hurt. Throw him in at left tackle, and he just kind of died. It did not go well, especially in their playoff game against Notre Dame. He got kind of crushed, and so I kind of like marked him off. Didn't think much about it. Turn on the tape this year, and I go, oh, he has improved dramatically. And then the second half of the year, you go like, that is a NFL tackle. I am going to breaking down their game against Ole Miss. Like he looks really good, ridiculous size. Again, I'll break down all of that tomorrow. But with a 9.9 relative athletic score, he kind of crushed athletic testing as well. Shouldn't be a huge surprise when you watch him play. But I think it's more of a, do you view that huge jump as a red flag that he doesn't have a lot of good tape in college? Or do you view it as he developed exponentially? It's kind of like how are you viewing that glass half empty or half full?
Yeah, I think you generally you just view it as, stocks up, right?
Yeah.
So to give you guys a little bit perspective, so Tyler again nailed it. He was not good in 2024 and made a big improvement in 2025. When I first started seeing his name, I was like, "There's no way we're talking about the same Monroe Freeling that I saw last year." So this was mid-January, Tyler, because I have the consensus board documented because he was an undrafted guy, and I had the numbers for the undrafted or not undrafted underclassmen tracker when they declared. He was making a big, he was basically not on radars until I don't know, November-ish, I would say.
Until the smart people started watching him, and then the media people started copying the homework. Yes,
correct. Okay. Freeling even in mid-January, so there's been he hasn't participated in the Senior Bowl. The combine was just very recently. I don't know how many of these boards have adjusted, right? He was 134th on the consensus board and is now all the way up to 19th. So big jump for a guy who literally did nothing between declaring and then the combine. And I don't think his jump is just because of the combine. It's because people are catching up on his film.
Yeah.
I think you hit it. I mean, athletic guy. People are going to like him. I think I mean, his calling card is still like the athleticism stuff. It's not. It's definitely more of a people mover than Fano, I think. But I think if you're looking for a well-rounded tackle who's got actual tackle size, right? Like you can have the questions about Mauigoa being a guard, Fano and Lomu about just size in general, like
Yeah.
you know, whether it's length or the thickness of their legs or anything like that. Proctor, obviously, like had a weird year in 2025. So I could definitely see someone falling in love with Freeling just because he's kind of like the only
True tackle.
true
Yeah.
tackle if you're talking about, I guess, if you consider those guys the top 5 guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up Proctor. He's next on my list. I have him at 4, but I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, he's just not my cup of tea right now. I get he's big and gigantic, but I'm just really disappointed with the film for a guy that's on Feldman's freaks list at that size. I just don't think he moves well enough for me to with that size that like he can still get really easily exposed again, especially against like more nuanced pass rushers. And then the run game stuff's just not enough for me. So I've been a bit disappointed with him, but you get him with the right offensive line coach. And if he is wired the right way, which is stuff, I didn't hear anything about that at the combine in Indianapolis, but if he is wired the right way and you can be patient with him, he could develop into something. But right now, my brain keeps going to like Mekhi Becton, where it's like big, solid athletic profile and people think he's going to be awesome. But when there's too many concerns on tape, maybe one day it just doesn't pan out. He gets kicked inside to guard and then is okay for a couple of years. Like that feels like the more realistic scenario to me than franchise left tackle, at least right now.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to have to be fighting, right? Because, I mean, you started the year with the FSU game. I don't think it was as bad as people made it out to be, but it was certainly not good. And he came in with like potential top 10 hype. Big body guy, right? I think he was pushing 350 at the combine.
6'6", 5'8", 352, 33 and 3/8 inch arms. The arm length kind of surprised me for a guy that big, but
I was told like Proctor kind of like basically like worked himself into shape during the season, and that's why you saw it getting a little better. Alabama couldn't run the football. I think there were a lot of different reasons for that. Not necessarily just Proctor, but that wasn't a great sign. I mean, their center couldn't hit 290 at the combine this year, and he was one of their better their best interior guy. Weird player. It's definitely going to be a people mover team that falls in love with Proctor, and you better have a plan.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Number 5 for me is Caleb Lomu, the other Utah tackle.
The left tackle. The right tackle is the one who's getting the most hype.
It's so funny. I'm still weirdly convinced if you had switched sides for them, it would have made a little bit more sense. Even though Fano is like tall, 6'6", 2/8. He's pretty fluid for a guy that size. I like his hand usage, his technique, but I don't think he's super aggressive. I don't love the power. I think he can still start. Again, probably it's just the Utah thing too. It feels like two guys are a little bit more finesse teams are going to fit with them. And like, I don't mean it to knock either Utah guy. Their offensive line coach did a great job with their offensive identity and how these guys operated.
You got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy
at Utah. No, you did a good job. It's
really impressive. I can't see him as a true like, let's move bodies in the run game, be reliable every down. But I do like a pass heavy team having him just like Fano.
Or like classic Packers offensive lineman from like pre-2022.
Yeah, things have changed a little bit, but
good pass protector, athletic, not much knockback potential. Probably want him in a zone scheme. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, that's kind of what we're shopping for here. I mean, what's weird is I think there's guys a little further down the line that are a little bit more well-rounded, but the top guys are the top guys because of their fastball, whatever it is, right? Whether it's Mauigoa and Proctor for just being able to move guys off the ball, or Fano and Lomu, where it's just like athleticism and being able to be like, hey, 100%. We're going to be good pass protectors, right? Our quarterback probably won't be dying on the field. And that's their calling card. So it's kind of weird how just this class is set up where it's like they're a little less well-rounded at the top, but they have the more standout abilities. And that's why they'll be going. And it's why when you look at where they get drafted, it'll probably make a lot of sense. I think Fano and Lomu are going to be guys who go to teams that want to be in the gun and throw the ball and all this stuff. And then Mauigoa and Proctor are going to go to teams that really want to pound the rock.
Yeah. Yep. Clear identities on that. All right, let's keep going. Blake Miller's OT6 for me. I mean, you want to, one of the things that's extremely valuable to a lot of NFL teams that doesn't get talked about enough is just, did you play a lot? And I think the more I've watched draft scouting and stuff like that, like I got burned by Anthony Richardson, things like that. Playing a lot in college really helps you transition to the NFL. And we're talking about a 4-year starter at Clemson that was a 3-time All-ACC selection. He's 6'6" and 6'8", 34 and a quarter inch arms. He's got really good play strength. I think he's solid enough in speed and space. Another guy that I think can really move bodies in the run game. He has leg drive, so like he doesn't just stalemate at the point of contact with that lower body. And I also think that helps him anchor. Like I'm a big fan. I think he'll be a legit right tackle at the NFL level. Probably start right away because he's just so pro ready.
He's like bees across the board.
Yeah,
like he's ready to be. He's ready to be a starting tackle right now, and I think
he might sneak into a Pro Bowl every couple of years, but like I don't see him as like a perennial All Pro guy.
No, but I think teams are just looking for starters. Like,
yes,
and consistent starters at the position. I can totally see a team like if you're not super into like the highs of Proctor, the highs of Fano, the highs of Lomu, and you're just like, dude, I just want someone to come in and be a starter. And I'm not expecting you to be a Pro Bowler, but like I need you to perform your first 2 years in the NFL. And we're gonna go on a run or something.
He's
like
a
that.
safety pick for sure.
I could see him being like the third tackle off the board, like Mauigoa, Freeling, and then Miller. Like I could see a team who thinks that way. I don't know if that's how it's actually going to play out on draft day.
I think there's a real scenario if like these early tackles go early, someone's going to trade up because they're going to be like, he's the last guy on the board, but like we trust.
This happens every year.
Yeah.
This happens like it's the same thing. It's the Jordan Morgan thing where people are like, Jordan Morgan was such a reach. And then after the draft, you start talking to people and it's like Arizona wanted him, Dallas wanted him, Baltimore wanted him, Washington wanted him. Like he was going to go in like the next 2 picks, if not from a team drafting him directly, then a trade up because teams are frothing at the mouth to get an offensive tackle. Rasheed Walker is going into free agency, Tyler. Rasheed Walker is the only starter coming off of a second contract who is even touching free agency.
Yep.
And he's going to get paid like $25 million a year. He's coming off his worst season at the NFL level, and he's still going to get that money.
Yeah.
There's desperation for the tackle position.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to be someone you're going to be like, someone's going to be surprised he's going to be drafted the first round. That will not be us because he feels
I think he's going to go into 20s. I really do. Like I can't imagine him going lower than that.
I could even see a team like Houston. That feels like an ideal fit. Like you got Ursery that started all 17 games as a rookie. You've completely depleted that room. Just give me a Blake Miller where I know I'm not going to be panicking for the next few years at right tackle, and we'll see what happens. So fan of him. OT7, and this is again the last guy on this before I feel like it drops off, but it is Maxi Honachor. I've made the argument that I think he is the biggest winner of the pre-draft process. Shows up to the Senior Bowl and just kicks the piss out of guys to the point he's starting fights. Like he's locked up guys so badly in one-on-ones that they're getting like actively mad at him. And then posts just absurdly well across the board at the combine. I think for a guy, I mean, you can clearly tell that he's still pretty new to playing football. If I recall, he didn't start playing until senior year of high school.
JUCO. I think it was JUCO. I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy.
Maybe not, but
yeah. But I mean, for a guy that's nearly 6'6" and 320 pounds, like that's a bigger guy. I'm pretty damn impressed with his quickness and length and patient hands. The fact that he has those kind of like naturally calm hands because he trusts his strike placement with that play strength. I mean, you watch the Texas Tech clips where he's like playing against a couple of first round top 50 edge rushers.
The whole D line is getting drafted, and some of the backers are, and the safety might, and stars.
And he's just the way he's able to have the quickness at his size to like just push them around the edge. Like David Bailey's crazy twitched up, and there's reps where Bailey's trying to win with speed, and Honachor is just like, cool, like I'll just use that momentum and carry you behind the quarterback. Like for a guy that has not played that much football, that is ridiculous at that size. Big fan of his. Like obviously the lack of experience is always a concern, but the tape shows me a guy that has, felt really comfortable playing offensive tackle. And I think just with a little bit of the right situation and right coaching, that is a guy I think has higher upside than Miller. I just don't know if he's going to be as good right away.
Yeah, I think again, he's a guy. I think there's more split opinions than the way it looks right now. Because like when you see Fano at 6 and then Iheanacho at 40, like I can see Iheanacho like jumping like a Proctor or a Lomu down the stretch or something like that. As you mentioned, young guy. I talked to some scouts about him because honestly, I just ask about offensive line and have you heard the Iheanacho story? And then they just talk about it. So Nigerian kid goes to a magnet school in Los Angeles, really good academic school, was a basketball guy. The part I don't know is when he started playing football. I know they said it was late. I don't know if it was last year of high school or going into JUCO, but he ends up going into JUCO, makes the transition, ends up going to Arizona State. I think he was originally going to go to like San Jose State or something like that, but then his coach from like San Jose State ended up going to ASU, right. And then he was like, "Hey, by the way, there's this kid at this JUCO, and he's awesome. He's a freak, and I would like to get my hands on him." So he ends up going to ASU. I think he's good enough as a people mover. The weird thing about Iheanacho is everything is right here, right? His hands are so tight inside, and it's something that you can coach on, and it's not even necessarily a bad thing, but it's just different than everyone else. And
it's almost like too focused on placement or
technique. I do worry, like if you go against like NFL edge rushers where they're attacking so far outside, like if you're having your hands so tight in, if that doesn't create some odd mismatches. But again, I mean, this is a young guy, by all accounts, a smart kid. I think, we're seeing line go up. So it hasn't slowed down. So I am giving myself, like, I think there's a better chance that like Iheanacho makes some more improvements at the NFL level than like a Proctor, who's been at Alabama for years and years and years and has had experience and was a 5-star recruit and, could afford all sorts of training and whatever, and is getting flown out in the off season and doing like O-line masterminds and stuff like that versus like a guy who just like came up from JUCO like 2 years ago and is still learning the sport. Right. If you have the right O-line coach, and that's a big O-line coach, I think, pick. Like if you're an O-line coach and you don't want Iheanacho, I'm not going to send him the pick. Like we're just going to take him off the board. Yeah. Because if you don't think that you're capable of coaching this guy, we shouldn't take him.
No, it's too much of a risk. That's the tier drop off, and we're already 30 minutes in here, so I'm just going to breeze through the last few. I'll try and just mention them, but the last 5 in order, because then we got to go to interior. We'll try and keep it around an hour. J.C. Davis at number 8, Emil Wagner number 9. I got Tiernan at 10, Markel Bell at 11, and then your guy Isaiah World at number 12. I'll talk about those first 2 just real quick. I really like J.C. Davis. I know he didn't test as well as the other guys. He's a little shorter at 6'4", but he's got 34 and a quarter inch arms, big ass hands like those show up in film. I think he's pretty big, got length, IQ, pretty fluid. I could see him as a potential left tackle one day. Excuse me. I just kind of liked him. Then Emil Wagner screams like long-term swing tackle, like a Josh Nyman, something like that. He's got real length.
I don't think the Packers will be the team.
No, but
I think they'll look for size for their backups because they want the guy to be able to play guard. Wagner is a true tackle, and he's going to be probably a pretty solid pass protector, but he's a little thin. His number was pretty good. He was like mid 300s, which is good for
306. Nearly 6'6", 306. Yeah, definitely smaller. But I mean, maybe he can
relatively move. Like people thought he might be like smaller than 300 going in like Shrine Bowl
for sure.
It was,
right? I mean, at Shrine you can tell like big ass arms, like not just length, but like he's built up too.
There's a frame. It's the weight. It's the weight is the issue.
Tiernan's interesting, linear athlete with starting. I just think he's not as fluid as some of these guys. But if you want just a guy that's going to go in a straight line, whether it's like on reach blocks, things like that, like he can freaking move at his size. I just don't really trust him. And then
weird thing about Tiernan is the arms. So guys that we're not talking about here, right? Brian Parker and Trey Zune, they're going to be interior guys. They were tackles at the NFL level. They're actually being looked at as centers because they have sub 33-inch arms. Tiernan long guy in terms of height. You wouldn't expect length to be an issue. Length is an issue. And he actually showed up with smaller arms than Parker and Zune, who are both, tackle sized other than their arm length. I don't know what the heck you do with that. I mean, I came in, a lot of people thought like Anthony Costanzo type of guy, where it's like he's going to be more of a pass protector, but he's like stiff hipped a little bit. I think the arm length is going to become a bigger concern for Tiernan than people realized.
Yeah, I mean, he got a lot of early consensus hype, and there is some traits I like. I just didn't see it really to trust as a starter.
He's solid. Iheanacho and Miller are way better. And,
yeah.
After Miller and Iheanacho or Tiernan, it's Tiernan and then Crownover, and those are the only other top 100 guys after Iheanacho and Miller on the consensus board.
Yeah. Before I ask anyone that I didn't watch, so you can talk about him, Markel Bell is obviously just a freaking giant at 6'9" and almost 350. Surprisingly quicker than you'd expect. But I'm still like, I think he's almost too big. And then I just got a question for you about World, because I thought his tape was okay to start the year. What the hell happened? Was he hurt? Like, it just fell off.
I mean, well, he tore his ACL at the end of the season, but that was against Indiana. No, just bad. He was a day 3 guy.
Yep.
Honestly, I mean, he came into the season with like potential top 20 hype, and then he was just a day 3 guy. I talked to guys all year when I watched Oregon going into that first Indiana game, and people were like, "Do you guys think you guys can win?" And I was like, "Look, I don't know. Our offensive line hasn't looked great, and they haven't been tested, and then our cornerbacks haven't looked great and haven't been tested, and then both times in the Indiana game, that's how we lost the football. That and Dante Moore throwing an interception to start the playoff game." But.
Thanks for that, by the way. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about guys I didn't watch?
Demetrius Crownover is our Savion Williams.
Who is this guy out of school?
A&M. A&M has 4 guys.
Yes, that's right. I've tried to watch a couple, and I just keep getting angry. I'm like, I don't want to keep watching the same film.
Yeah, A&M has 4 guys in this class. Crownover is like physically gifted, top 3 tackle in this class. Now, it's a wild experience. When you watch the Notre Dame game, Tyler, I need you to do that. You're watching the Notre Dame game before we record next time. Crownover has he's doing wrestling finishing moves on guys at the end of plays half of the time, and it's
he's got Trevor Penning syndrome.
No, it's not friendly fire on teammates, anything like that. No, it's just good football.
Okay,
his punches are late every single play. There are plays where he's going to block a guy, and the first thing that hits an opponent is the front of his helmet because his hands are so late.
Oh, 6'7", 35 and 3/8 inch arms. Okay, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's like 320, I think, or 330, something like that. Super long, super explosive. He
converted from tight end to tackle in 2022.
Yes, he came. So if you look at it, he's like a 3-star tight end because the scouting services ranked him as a tight end because that's what he wanted to be at the next level. But if you look at his scholarship offers, he was offered by everyone. Here's the problem, Tyler. Those scholarship offers were for offensive line, and not Bama was like, "We want you to be a tight end." Ohio State was like, "We want you to be an offensive lineman." All those big schools wanted him to be offensive lineman. A&M was the one that was like, "Hey, come in. We'll let you try at tight end. If it doesn't work at tight end, we'll move you to the offensive line."
I'm skimming through Zerline's scouting report on him, and there's some interesting stuff.
Highs, lows. You're gonna have to teach this guy to football. Yeah, no, he is. I don't think he's the best offensive tackle in this class. He is the most interesting offensive lineman in this class.
Sick
by far.
Cool.
He is Savion Williams, where it's like, buddy, I don't know where this is gonna lead us to, but we could hit a home run or we could get absolutely nothing out of this guy.
I'm a little worried how lockstep we were talking about tackles. Although I feel like that's typically the case for most positions. I think sometimes we have disagreements, but it always feels like offensive line, we're pretty lockstep on this stuff. So I think it might be a good thing. I feel like
I think it's easier in this class where it's like you got the top 7 guys and then it's everyone else at tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've found our gems in the past, so hopefully we find one of those this year. All right, let's go interior, guys. So this is guards and centers or tackles. I think we'll move to guard. Number 1 for me, dude, I was so resistant to give into consensus here. And then this morning, I was like, I'm just going to force myself to watch it again. Olai Vavenga Ioane. I freaking crushed that
Ioane.
name, by the way. No big deal. Out of Penn
I'll
State.
be calling him Vega. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Vega.
Vega or
Vega's a
Ioane.
freaking sweet name, regardless. Was so resistant to it just because I like number 2 as well. But when I watch it, I mean, he is so powerful and can still move pretty well. I love the way that he can anchor down against bull rushes. He's willing to like finish through the whistle. He's tough as hell, thick, and like I don't think the fluidity is horrible. And I know he can look a bit lumbering at times, but like for a guy as dense as he is, I think he moves well enough. And the fact that he's already just a kind of a traditional guard, like he's going to be, I get why he's getting viewed as a top 20, top 25 pick because he is rock solid. And with that frame, he just brings tons of power into the game. And teams, especially again, we talked about this earlier, like teams moving to more heavy, run downs, run personnel, like he's going to be, a really coveted player.
Yeah. And the other thing too, this is not something that you can fake based on participation because everyone goes, this is the fastest combine ever. And then people are like, well, only like the top 50% ran and all that stuff. The offensive line is bigger than it's ever been in terms of height and weight.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. It's not just NFL teams wanting to get bigger. It's also college football. College football on defense is getting smaller and faster year by year. Their offensive line is getting bigger and bigger year by year. You know that we don't have to keep talking about Ioane because we are trying to keep this under an hour. He is interior offensive line number 1 with a bullet to me. And there are some teams that think he could play center too. So if your team is in the center market, the Packers he's not going to be there at 52. But if you're a team, if you're a fan of a team that is looking for a center, he's got a chance to play it too.
Yeah. All right. Your guy at number 2, or at least my guy.
Pregnon.
This is one of my guys in the class. I love this guy. I know people think he's stiff, but Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon. I just love how almost like torqued up he is. Like he brings some like legitimate explosion through his hips, and he's so freaking strong and like barrel chested up at the top that he just displaces the hell out of guys on tape. And whether it's like, combo blocking and displacing alignment and climbing up, or, having to find work in pass pro and then just obliterating someone when they're not expecting it. Like he is one of these guys that can just move so like just the power is so clearly there. I tend to like his fluidity more than some of the other people I've talked to. But I get that he can look.
Me too.
I don't think his lower body is as strong as you'd expect because of how good the upper body is. But he is way more fluid, which is wild because I watched even like, didn't run as well as I was thinking he was going to or anything like that. But really fun player. And again, one that I just think fits in today's NFL. And I just love some of the tape. His highs on tape are just like absolute ass kicker. And I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I love him. He would be, my second ranked guard.
He was originally my guard 1 and literally until this morning. I just caved.
Ioane's good. Yeah. Pregnon is the only guy I thought was a top 100 guy on that Oregon offensive line, and it was pretty clear starting at the beginning of the year to me. He was the only guy who actually kind of like outperformed expectations. Weird guy. He's a little bit older. Was like a non-scholarship kid from Denver, ended up going to Wyoming as like a no-star recruit before he had been recruited by like Chadron State and stuff like that, like where Danny Woodhead played, right?
Oh my gosh.
Ended up at Wyoming. I think there was the COVID year. It didn't count. The redshirt year, that didn't count. Then he played at Wyoming for a year. After that, he transferred to USC, played, I think, 2 years at USC, and then ended up transferring after that. He was going to be part of last year's class, right? He actually accepted a Senior Bowl invite or a Shrine Bowl invite and stuff, and then ended up going into the portal and then going up to Oregon this past year. Built like a bodybuilder. He needs to quit that. We need more in the legs, dude.
Yeah.
If you can get more in
freakish
the legs,
how big he is up top. It is almost too high up top.
Yes, dude. I mean, he's built like a try. I mean, he's very athletic. I was surprised that you said people thought that he was stiff. I don't think of him in that way.
I don't want to name any names, but it was people I definitely respect their evaluation process. And I was like, so it surprised me.
I just disagree. I mean, I'm not throwing rocks or anything. I just disagree.
Same.
I think the big thing with him is he needs to put more strength in his legs. And if we can add more just weight into his legs, I think this guy has the potential to be, Pro Bowl, All Pro. Like I don't think that there's a limit here.
I'm cool with him in the first round, by the way. I would take him late first round. I'm totally cool with him. Yeah.
Yeah, if you really need a guard, yeah, because I don't know if this is the next guy for you. Maybe if the Maui Noah is a better guard than tackle isn't the hot take of the year for me. It's that I don't really like Chase Basantes, the A&M guy.
Oh yeah, he's not my next guy, but he's right after that.
Yeah.
Where do I even have Basantes? I think I have him in the 60s, something like that. All right, yeah, moving on. So we'll move. Jennings Dunker is my number 3.
Okay.
I think kind of like we talked about with Blake Miller, like bees across the board. I can kind of see that with him. It's so funny watching his tackle tape because I think he's like, really tenacious. He's got some power and some quickness, but man, that like length kind of which is weird. He's like 34.
He's long. It's not bad length, but he plays like he has bad length. It's weird.
Because like his bull rush and anchor is a little bit of a concern too. Like it's just a weird evaluation, but it feels like a lot of these issues I have with the way he plays really makes sense when you kick him inside. Because again, if he's tenacious enough and quick enough, I think he can be a rock solid guard.
Yeah, I mean,
where do you have?
I think I like probably around the same range.
Okay.
I mean, I had him. I had him late day 2, but
okay.
Part of this is because of the thing that I'm about to talk about. I think he's a little like, I think I like Belton a little more last class. But I think Dunker is a Belton. I worry about the athleticism, especially on the outside. It's not like he's a terrible athlete, but he is just so robotic. Like he is just like, it looks like he took every point that the offensive line coach made to him, and he was like, I will only be doing this one thing. He is a people mover.
When I watch his jump sets, back to your point, like when I watch his jump sets, like kind of talk about the robotic, it's almost like he's just so focused about getting out into that jump set with technique. Then it hurts his anchor because then he's just so focused on getting out there that he's not prepared at all for these rushers on the edge that's going to his chest.
I think that if someone plays him at tackle, fire the guy, right?
Totally
he needs to be a guard, mandatory guard conversion. The other thing is there is this X factor, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but he's had 3 surgeries, and I didn't know that.
Oh.
3 separate surgeries, completely unrelated injuries, dating back to high school. And when I was poking around about medical stuff, he was the one that surprised me, that people were like, he's got some things that he's dealing with. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, we can't tell you exactly, but like he's had 3 surgeries. I'm like, okay, well, all right. So that might be a factor in his draft evaluation too. I gave him late day 2. I gave him late day 2.
Yeah.
But I also grade hard, by the way.
Yes. Next up for me is Basantes out of Texas A&M. So I'm a little surprised you're not as big on him. I just wrote down, I think he's physical and competitive. He's trying to take heads off again when he's looking for work. I like his core strength when he's trying to steer defenders, out of gaps. He's got leg drive. Anchor's not where I want it to be. Hand placement really needs to be cleaned up. Pad level's too high. And I don't really trust his fluidity as a puller. But I just think he's powerful enough that, a day 2 pick, I'm totally fine with it. Oh, I did not see his length. That's even for a guard, that's pretty bad at 31 3/4.
Yeah. And he's a big guy. And this is my big hang up with him. Like you can watch like the Notre Dame game. You cannot allow penetration on down blocks. It blows everything up. It blows up the timing. You have to take different angles for the pullers, all that stuff. It just doesn't work. And Basantes, if you're going to be one of these bigger guys, you have to win those down blocks. And he allowed a good amount of penetration against Notre Dame. And that's what makes me think what is this calling? Because you're like, okay, he's nasty, but like, it doesn't matter if he's nasty, if he has short arms and he's missing these down blocks, right? Because if we can't run power behind him, what are we doing? So that's my big hang up with him. I ended up giving him like a 3rd, 4th. I know I'm way lower on him than most people because I've seen people have him, I don't know, mid-2nd to like late 1st, depending on where mock drafts have him and stuff. So I know I'm on an island out there, but that's how I see it.
The rest of the guys besides one are all centers in my eyes, at least of the 11 that I watched.
Should be.
But there's one guy I want to talk about.
The guard might be a center too, by the way, if it's the guy I'm thinking about.
Well, let me just jump ahead then to talk about one last guard because he's 9 out of 11 for me, and I think we're talking about the same guy. Is it Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech?
He is also being looked at as a potential.
What the hell is that frame? It is so weird. Like in 6'4", 316. What is it? 33+ inch arms. You're not thinking much about it. The way he just physically looks is like a lurch or something at guard.
Bowser.
Yes, Bowser. That is a really good way to put it. One that kind of surprised me because I still like him for being 9 out of 11 guys, like comes into contact with really good hip explosion. It's something the more that I coached football at every position, I just really care when you're engaging. Are you launching through your hips or are you just putting hands on the guy? You'll see that a lot. I think he's got a good anchor. But like that Bowser build kind of comes back and bites him in the ass times. I don't think he's particularly quick, even though he tested well. And I'm still not a huge fan of his hand placement. But interesting story.
Mauler guy. He was a guy who was at Western Kentucky, ends up hitting the transfer portal, gets into a car crash after he hits the transfer portal, ends up breaking part of his foot, and then I think he loses a shoe during the event and ends up walking through broken glass and the liquids from the car are on the ground and all this stuff. Ends up getting an infection, Tyler. Has a pit that goes into his heart that he's having to feed antibiotics into twice a day for about
holy crap.
I think they said 6 weeks. So he ends up hitting the portal this would have been 2 years ago in December, and he's not able to even do conditioning again until July before his first year at Georgia Tech. It doesn't stop him at all. He's first team all conference 3 years in a row.
That's awesome.
At Western Kentucky, and then the 2 years at Georgia Tech. Teams talk about him, super tough. If you're looking for people mover, he is, a premier guy at the guard position and also maybe the guy at the center position for this year's class. So keep that in mind. I think he's going to have a lot of fans. I'd be cool with taking him. If you're a people mover team, I could see him going mid second round, probably on the high end, right? Yeah. I think he probably goes in the third, but I think he's going to have a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why for sure. All right, let's move to the centers. My first of the centers that I have, and I am worried about the ACL, but it is Connor Liu. Okay. I was just impressed with him. Again, he tore his ACL this season, so that's not ideal when you're trying to, draft a guy and hopefully play right away. But for, a round 300-pound guy, I just think he's, pretty damn intelligent. He's really technically sound. His punch is really quick, so he can really control the point of attack, despite being smaller than guys. I always love that he's doing a really good job of he will ID blitzers pretty quickly as they're trying to start show and tells. So he's communicating all that, which you obviously want from a center. He can react to inside moves and twist stuns. He's got a wide base with good feet. Don't love his upper body strength. Don't think he's particularly quick. I'm a little worried about holding down at the point of attack. And leg drive's not over there. And the other thing I have is sometimes it feels like he's so focused on hand placement that he's almost too late, or he can lunge and get overextended. But if you just want, a smart guy that you can kind of, I wouldn't say hide, but have bigger bodies around him, he's one of those guys I would at least trust as long as that knee checks out long term.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, it's a clean ACL tear, so teams aren't really worried about it long term, other than when is he going to be back on the field type of thing. I would real sturdy, has a good anchor, good feet, and can be used on the move. If you wanted to be a pin and pull team and you wanted to send him out, I could see him being a guy that you could pull and stuff like that. He's not much of a people mover though, and again, I think that's your point where you're if you have bigger bodies around him, you can kind of protect him a little bit. I think a team that lives in this outside zone world or pin and pull world combo, right? I think those teams are going to like him a lot more than a team that is going to run a bunch of inside zone and duo or something like that. Definitely has talent. I gave him third, fourth round grade 2, which again, I grade pretty hard. So I know that he's going in the second and stuff. And I also took the ACL into account for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not often with centers that I really get to notice how good they are at spotting the blitzes. But it was clear that was kind of one of his responsibilities for getting protections right. And just, I love a guy that has the experience getting protections as a center. I appreciate that. So the next guy I have, and I think I'm higher than consensus on him, and maybe I have rose colored lenses because I saw him at Shrine Bowl, but it is Brian Parker. And then one of these guys is playing tackle, kicked inside to center. I think he's pretty fluid. I think he's got leg drive as a blocker. It is funny that like the limited length is clearly why, sub 33 inch arm's going to kick into center, but processes well, moves bodies with the leg drive. His footwork's solid, like quickness wise. Not particularly explosive. His anger's decent. I still want to see him bulk up a little bit. I think that would help with his game specifically.
So outside of the top 40, I have a center ranked as the number 2 offensive lineman. And the top 40 is only relevant because I'm looking at stuff like Green Bay perspective. We haven't talked about that guy, so that's interesting.
Oh,
this is one that we're going to disagree on.
Actually, I think I know who it is because I think he's next up.
Brian Parker, I gave him early day 3. The short arms are definitely going to limit him on the edge. He's almost certainly going to be inside. Teams went into this year saying like Parker is probably going to be a center because of
at Shrine. He was like, "I am a center."
Like him and Trezun were the 2 guys that when I talked to scouts like mid-season, right, whenever Elton got hurt, I was like, okay, we're probably going to be in the center market, right? When I talked to them, they were like, those are the 2 guys who, because of their length, they're going to end up moving to the center position, probably not even guard at the next level. Smart kid, heard great things about that. Good feet, keeps his feet running, but he's not super strong. The interesting thing, dude, so I got my hands on some of the Shrine clips. Obviously, I work for Galco. I don't have to hide that. Things are a little slow, man. Like, it's not that. So when you get outside, right, things have to be a little bit more fluid, and you have to be able to do the whole dancing game and being able to mirror and stuff like that. But on the inside, you got to be able to do stuff quick, right? And it's not that I don't think Parker can't do stuff quick, because I've seen him do stuff quick at tackle. When he was at center, I thought he moved slower when he had to snap the ball and then also had to deal with the stuff. Now, that was a couple weeks after the season, and he hadn't been playing center, and he basically played center full time.
If I recall, he hasn't played center since high school. So,
yes. Yeah. So I'm willing to give him a little bit of a leash there.
Yeah.
But he needs to improve there quickly.
Yes.
Because I don't think it was good enough. So that's why I gave him, the early day 3 grade.
Yeah, totally fine with that.
I do think that there's potential there, but like he's not ready to play a football game right now. You better have a plan for him in transition.
That's a project. I just see the vision with it, which is why I'm at least intrigued. So is Sam Hecht the guy that you're high on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's right behind.
I watched him and I was like, damn it, man, that's a good football player.
Yes, it is.
Like he's not the biggest or anything. I have him good passing off stunts, above average athleticism, sturdy even against Texas Tech. Will probably fit every system. Gets into some trouble when he's hand fighting, but that's not the biggest deal at the center position. I really like this guy. I gave him a day 2 grade. I probably wouldn't take him as high as Rutledge, which was, like I said, I think his ceiling is probably mid-second. I think Hetch is more like a turn of the second and third if you're going to be high on the guy, but I could see a team that needing a center just saying like, screw it, I'm going to get him, and he's probably going to be a pretty solid football player for me for 2 contracts.
One of my favorite traits about him is I feel like Kansas State, with the weird-ass offense they run, have some tough reach blocks that these guys got to hit. He can fire out of that stance after the snap and hit some tough angles. I think
every team is going to like him. I think he's going to be on every board because I haven't heard anything bad from a medical or off-field situation, and I think he fits every single scheme, and I think that's going to drive up his stock. He is also a guy that the media just barely has started catching up on. When I did my mock offseason 1.0 at APC, I took him in the 7th round, and it was just because he was still on the mock draft simulator. And I was like, I haven't seen the kid yet. I'm going to take him in the 7th, and he's going to go higher than this pick. And I'm just using this as a time to talk about that. The same thing was true with like Bryce Betcher, who I think is going like 150-ish right now, and he was available in like the 7th too. And I was like, I just know from scouts that these guys are going to go higher. And I'll use that as an opportunity to talk about them.
I'll tell you what, man, I do think I'm glad we talked through Parker, because I can just see that's my always issue when I go see these guys in person. I think I just overvalue that by being and seeing it up close.
Scouts do that too, by the way.
Yeah,
I know. Not unique doing
it. So Hecht might be higher. I'll probably end up having him higher by the end of the stuff. We got 3 more to talk about. We'll just burn through them. Jake Slaughter. out of Florida who looked like an accountant on his podium with the glasses and the long hair. Parker Brailsford's at 10, and then Pat Coogan, go Hoosiers, number 11 for me. So, and those are all, again, centers. Slaughter tested pretty damn well. He's tall for a center at 6'5". I think he's got hand usage and athleticism, but like that lower body strength for a guy of that frame is kind of disappointing. I'm a little more worried that might be a bit more one-dimensional than I was hoping.
Slaughter is a guy scouts didn't buy into until basically the Senior Bowl. I talked to a lot of people about the center class, again, because I started the work pretty early when Elton got hurt. And what guys kept telling me was PFF darling, right? Which is the metrics are good. I don't necessarily see the talent. It seemed like he's one of the guys who legitimately got a bump from the Senior Bowl, and you started seeing him,
he just doesn't move bodies in the run game for a center.
He doesn't. Solid in pass, bro. I put jack of all trades, master of none, not a people mover, good metrics. Yeah, scouts didn't buy it until the Senior Bowl, but that helped. I don't know if scouts are as high as the media is on him. They have him ranked 79th on the consensus board right now. But they are definitely more open to him than in the past. I gave him a third, fourth.
Okay.
I think that's fine. Yeah, that's where I'm comfortable taking him, honestly.
We've danced around talking about Parker Brailsford, it feels like, for months now.
Tiny.
6'2", 289.
And he played he's played under 280 at the college level before. And when he started at Washington,
holy shit, it's small.
Yeah, so he was a guy who moved with the board from Washington to Alabama. When he was at Washington, he was like high 260s.
That's so crazy.
This is not a big guy. This is him bulked up, and he can't get to 290. I think there are real issues there. We talked about it with Proctor. Alabama could not run the football. Alabama was like 110th if you look at like rushing efficiency in college football. That should never happen. And I think part of that was they had a teeny tiny center. Yeah. Green Bay, I don't think you could touch this guy.
Gutekunst, again, Gutekunst's so glad I got to ask him the question because he gave an actual answer. That was incredible, but intentionally like trying to get bigger on the offensive line.
Yeah. So he is certainly not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I haven't fully graded him out, but just but I've seen Alabama. Like it's not like something I haven't been paying attention to.
I'll give him
needed a center coming into the year. I gave him, like a fifth if you like him, if he fits your system.
The vision worries me a bit, but like I'll give him credit. He plays with a ton of urgency. His feet are always super quick, but like the hand placement isn't where it needs to be. I don't like his explosiveness off the snap, especially if you're going to pull him. And then his balance is definitely not what you want. Like just there's a lot of ways you can get easily exposed. And I think if he's a full-time starter, it gets very ugly. Also just not I can't believe I'm saying it about a Hoosier, but Pat Coogan is my last ranked. I didn't love him. I know he has Notre Dame and national championship experience now. I think he's got great hands and he processes well, but like a guy that's not super fluid. Don't really trust his balance. Don't really trust the anchor. It's decent, but like just one of these guys. I don't see the long-term vision for him. I think he's like an ideal backup center. Someone smart enough that, he's not going to botch everything if he has to play.
I'm just going to throw some names out there. Just
please do.
Thoughts and names. Don't have full grades on these guys. Trezun, A&M. He was a tackle for A&M. He's going to be moving to center at the next level. Maybe guard. He's the guy that teams are giving a little bit more leeway at guard than Brian Parker right now. He started practicing at center in training camp. Only played center a couple of snaps during his college career. But like A&M knew that like, hey, your future is going to be at the center position, but we need you to play a tackle. And someone had to, they had guys across the board, right? They had 4 guys who were in this draft class who were going to get drafted at the offensive line position. So they just kind of had to make something fit.
Yeah.
Teams love him in terms of intelligence, all that stuff. I've had 3 guys now who have been part of meetings with him, either at the Senior Bowl or at the Combine, and they've all said the same thing. And they're like, love it. He's going to mentally, he's going to be able to make the transition to the center position, all that stuff.
I'm writing him down now as we speak.
Yep. Trezun the third. Alex Harkey out of Oregon. He's ranked in the top 200. He got invited to the combine. He stinks. Don't draft him. He's not any good.
Who is this?
Alex Harkey from Oregon. He's the right tackle. Logan Jones, a little bit of an undersized guy from Iowa. He had like super sawed off arms. Kind of cliche Iowa guy, but like not as good as what you're imagining. Like the funny thing is Hetch, like if you're like Iowa offensive lineman and a center, Hetch is the guy who you're like thinking of, but he played at K-State, right? And that's why I like him. You already mentioned Coogan. Wright from Auburn was actually a center at one point, but he ended up transitioning to guard and has played some tackle even. Once Lou, who might be the first true center off of the board in this draft, ended up getting there. So he's a guy who might interest Packers fans. And then the other guy I'm keeping an eye on is Fabici, and I'm not going to try the last name, from Oklahoma, who ended up getting the like player of the week thing from the Shrine Bowl. And he is a combo center guard, and he's actually a little bit bigger. So I haven't seen his tape actually, but I do have my ears up on him, and I'm like, oh, that might be a guy who like Green Bay likes, because even when they draft centers, like John Williams, the guy that they took in the 7th round this past year, right?
Oh wow,
he's a lot bigger than a lot of these center guys, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Did you mention Logan Jones? Sorry, I was trying to focus on Trey Zoom.
Sawed off dude. I can see some teams liking him. I'm not sold at where he's at right now, which is 102 on the consensus board. I would not take him that high. I'd take him in like the 5th. So he's more of a around 150 guy than a 100 guy to me.
Okay. Well, listen, we did about an hour and 10. I think we did great. I always think this is our best
I'm
episode.
happy we didn't hit 2.
Yes.
That was my goal.
Dude, we could have talked to. I love how aligned we are with guys. I'm very excited about this.
Other than Hetched. Team Hetched.
No, I like him.
Hetched up, Basantis down. That I think those are my hot takes.
I don't think you'll get me moved on Basantis, but Hetch I like, and I'm going to move him.
And I guess Rutledge. For sure. I'm the Rutledge Hetch guy.
Yeah,
I'm the Rutledge Hetch guy.
Yeah. Okay. This is always my favorite episode we do every year. I love talking offensive line with you because we can have actual conversations about what we watched with our eyes. So there are
almost no metrics that we listed.
We really didn't. We talked to arm length. That was really
a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Well, that's going to do it. We don't need to go any further because this is such a long episode. So if you
no. Quickly.
I guess we did. We got to go a little bit longer. Just as something quickly. To say.
Just listing guys at the end. Just for my grades, right? So I'm not considering top 40 guys. Like I don't think Ian Nachor is going to be there at 52, right? But I know we have Packers fans who are watching this, right?
Yeah.
So Packers relevant guys. Here were my grades for the top 100 guys, right? Day 2 grades, Keelan Rutledge, Georgia Tech. He is the people mover combo guard center. Sam Hetch, Kansas State. He is a center. Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern. He's more of like a pass blocking tackle with smaller arms. Yeah.
I don't love him.
He's a weird build, an acquired taste, certainly. These are the borderline day 2, day 3 guys to me. Connor Lew, Auburn. I don't think he's a perfect system fit, but he is, a good mover. The ACL is a clean tear. He might be the first true center off of the board, all said and done. Jennings Dunker, Iowa, a right tackle who's going to end up moving the guard. He is the people mover. I think he's very mechanical. And then you have some of the injury questions about the 3 surgeries that he had. Jake Slaughter, Florida, center who's kind of jack of all trades, master of none. And then Chase Basantes of A&M, who I really do not like how much penetration he allows on some of these blocks. And I think that's a major issue. The early day 3 guys are Crown Over from A&M, who splays his arms out like an eagle, is late to punches. There's something there, a ton of pancakes on film. We're either the highest of highs or lowest of lows if you turn in that pick. And then Brian Parker out of Duke, who I don't think is ready to play center right now, but I do think he has all the traits. So it's not a great center class either in free agency or the draft. I think there's a lot more 2027 starters than there are 2026 guys.
For sure. Quick little shout out to Simba, my dog. I always crate him for recording, but today I didn't, and he didn't make a noise. So shout out to that dog. He did great. That'll do it for today's episode of Draft Talk. We got to talk next week. I got a request. Well, hold on. We got 2 options for you.
Okay.
Off-ball linebackers or edge.
Give me the off-ball linebackers because I know the edge list is so long, and
It's so
there's
long.
no way I'm going to be able to do that.
You
in a
can't
week.
keep putting it off, though, Justis. There's a lot of guys we got to talk about. I think there's
Here's
an
a fun
outside
one.
chance the Packers draft an edge.
Here's a fun one, Tyler.
Okay.
I think we're almost certainly going to draft an edge because it got back to me through little birdies. We really like this Zion Young kid from Missouri, and I haven't seen him.
Okay. Edge center for
from
sure.
2 different guys at the combine that I know talked to Packers scouting staff, and they were like, Packers are all in on this Zion Young kid. So
we talked about it a little bit. He's got a little asshole in him.
I haven't seen him. I know some people isn't McShay. I've seen McShay tweet some stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, Zion Young might be like a top 20 guy. And I'm like, oh,
I don't see that.
I don't
He's
know.
like a legit,
so I don't know.
Legit good big-bodied edge setter with some pass rushing juice. He does have a misdemeanor assault charge from a tunnel fight after Michigan State game and a DWI arrest.
The fight means nothing. The DWI arrest, at least look into it and see if it's not.
I think it's more that he's a hot. And we'll talk about this in the edge episode. More that he's a hothead. Like you can see him lose composure on film.
Yeah,
and that's really hard to do, in my opinion, when plays cut off early. So, all right. So off-ball linebackers next week.
Yeah, we'll have the.
I love this linebacker group.
We'll have the Harold Perkins conversation.
Now you just made me sad. All right. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching Draft Talk. We will be back next week with linebackers. Go Pack, go. Take care.